I'm even after all this while, using Zoom, I just recently got it, so I thought I'll share it with you again. Nobody controls your view except for yourself. For example, right now, I have it as gallery view, so I see on my computer 25 of you. So in the top right hand corner of your screen where it says view, there you can set it. You can set it to gallery or speaker. So if you turn it to speaker view, then you will see just whoever is speaking. Yeah. So I didn't know that. I didn't quite get it. Where the view can be controlled by someone occurs if we share this Zoom session on YouTube or on Facebook. There, the host can decide for the Facebook or the YouTube watchers what they see. But otherwise, on Zoom, one of the advantages of Zoom, in theory, sometimes disadvantages if we don't understand that, is that you, on your end, control what you see, who you want to see. If you want to get fancier, you can even change the 25 that you are seeing. If you're using a laptop, you can kind of drag your favorite faces. Or if you're really practicing bodhicitta, drag all your not so favorite faces so that you always see them as your 25. Or if you just want the speaker view, then you go change it there. Yeah, so that's the one about the viewing. We will have a few more kind of housekeeping matters that we'll try to do later on. So now let's begin with the usual opening recitations. So this time I will do this all in English in a semi-chanting style. This is all experimental, but it is really good to eventually be able to do some sort of a chanting style. There is something different about relating to these words in a chant manner rather than reading manner. If nothing else, it's because our own conceptual mind or our own superstitious mind, if we're just reading like we're reading the newspaper, like we are reading Facebook, postings, like we are reading, a recipe, directions, then this recitation can kind of fall into that kind of mundaneness. Yeah, so even like it was in Tibetan or in Sanskrit or in Pali or in Chinese, there is still a difference between reading out loud and chanting. Yeah, so when you do the practice, they don't really read out loud. They're doing more than reading out loud, even in those exotic languages that we're talking about. They are also in chanting mode. I have not yet quite figured out the chanting mode with the English that we have currently. Because in part, I'm more concerned with getting the meanings of the words translated accurately, both in terms of the meaning of those words in their original intended meaning, as well as faithfulness to what words are used. So it's kind of a balance between. In fact, Tibetans talk about what they call meaning translation and word translation. Some of the decisions that were made about the art of translating, should we focus on translating the meaning or focus on translating the words? So at least the official position is that the translations that were done way back from Indian languages into Tibetan, and sometimes from Chinese as well into Tibetan. The claim is that these early translators were able to both translate the words as well as the meaning. Of course, that's quite a task. Anyway, I can say that these translations here have mostly tried to be as accurate as possible to get the meaning across right. So it has not focused on how do we, what words do we choose to use so that they are chantable. So anyway, this evening we're going to do this in a semi-chanting style of the words in English. All mother sentient beings limitless as the sky, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and all-knowingness, may they experience happiness and be separated from suffering. I will quickly establish them in a state of the most perfect and precious Bodhi. All mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path, liberation and all-knowingness, may they experience happiness and be separated from suffering. I will quickly establish them in the state of the most perfect, precious Bodhi. All mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and all-knowingness, may they experience happiness and be separated from suffering. I will quickly establish them in the state of the most perfect and precious Bodhi. Thus, until I achieve Buddha, I engage in virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. Until death, I engage in virtuous deeds with body and mind. From now until this time tomorrow, I engage in virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. Page 3. All sentient beings, limitless as the sky, take refuge in the glorious kind root Guru, ornament of the exalted body, speech, and mind qualities and activities of the Tathagatas of the 10 directions and 3 times source of the 84,000 heaps of Dharma, Lord of all the noble Sanghas. We take refuge in the kind root and lineage gurus. We take refuge in the deities of the mandalas of the idams. We take refuge in the Buddha Bhagavans. We take refuge in the perfect dharmas. We take refuge in the noble sanghas. We take refuge in the assembly of Viras, Dharkinis, and Dharmapalas of the eye of wisdom. We take refuge in the kind root and lineage gurus. We take refuge in the deities of the mandalas of the idams. We take refuge in the Buddha Bhagavans. Refuge in the perfect dharmas. We take refuge in the noble sanghas. We take refuge in the assembly of Viras, Dharkinis, and Dharmapalas. This is of the eye of wisdom. We take refuge in the kind root and lineage gurus. We take refuge in the deities of the mandalas of the idams. We take refuge Buddha Bhagavans. We take refuge in the perfect dharmas. We take refuge in the noble sanghas. We take refuge assemblies of Viraj, Dakinis, and Dharmapalas, possessors of the eye of wisdom. Until I attain the heart of Bodhi, I take refuge in all the Buddhas. I take refuge in the Dharma, and likewise in the assembly of Bodhisattvas. As the previous Buddhas develop body, mind, and progress on the Bodhisattva's path, I too, for the benefit of all wandering beings, give rise to and apply myself to accomplish the stages of the path. Until I attain the heart of Bodhi, I take refuge in all the Buddhas. I take refuge in the Dharma, and likewise in the assembly of Bodhisattvas. As the previous Buddhas develop body, mind, and progress on the Bodhisattva's path, I too, for the benefit of all wandering beings, to bodhicitta and apply myself to accomplish the stages of the path. Until I attain the heart of Bodhi, I take refuge in all the Buddhas. I take refuge in the Dharma, and likewise in the assembly of Bodhisattvas. Previous Buddhas develop Bodhi, mind, and progress on the Bodhisattva's path. I too, for the benefit of all wandering beings, give rise to bodhicitta by myself to accomplish the stages of the path. In the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha most excellent, I take refuge until Bodhi is reached. Merit of generosity and other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all wandering beings. In the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha most excellent, I take refuge until Bodhi is reached by the merit of generosity and other perfections. May I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all wandering beings. In the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha most excellent, I take refuge. Bodhi is reached by the merit of generosity and other perfections. May I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all wandering beings. May all mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, have happiness, and the causes of happiness, may they be liberated from suffering, and the causes of suffering, may they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from the bias of attachment and aversion. May all mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, happiness and the causes of happiness, may they be liberated from suffering, and the causes of suffering, may they never be separated from the happiness free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from the bias of attachment and aversion. May all mother sentient beings, limitless as the sky, have happiness, and the causes of happiness, may they be liberated from suffering. Causes of suffering, may they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, the bias of attachment and aversion. Bhadra Samaja, Bhadra Samaja, Bhadra Samaja. Protectors of all sentient beings without exception, deities who vanquish the ruthless hordes of Maras, knowers of everything as it is, Bhagavans and your retinues, please come here. Argyam Padyam Pushpe Tube Aloke Kende Nevede Shabda Pratija Soha. This ground sprinkled with scented waters and strewn with flowers, with the supreme mountain, four continents, sun and moon, I hold in mind as a Buddha land and offer it. Wandering beings experience such a pure realm. Whatever slight virtue that may have been gathered through prostrating, offering, confessing, requesting, and beseeching, I now dedicate to complete Bodhi. Namo to the Guru, the complete purity of phenomenal existence. I make offerings to you who manifest in the ground of phenomenal existence. Supplicate you for the total liberation of the three realms. Grant your blessings of dredging samsara from its very depths. Lord, wish-fulfilling gem, ornament of my crown, beyond word and expression is your victorious mind. Endowed with the five superior primordial wisdoms, epitome of love, the one with kindness, precious protector of wandering beings, I supplicate you in the innate state of my mind, bless me in the state of suchness, grant your blessings for realizing this primordially birthless and completely pristine mind, Dharmakaya beyond thoughts. To the Bhagavan, the Tathagata, the foe destroyer, the completely perfect, fully awakened one, perfect in good conduct, gone to bliss, knower of the worlds, tamer of beings, charioteer, unsurpassable one, teacher of gods and humans, supreme and incomparable, king of the Shakyas, who is free from the minutest stains. Placing my head at your feet, I pay homage with devotion. When you were born supreme among humans, you paced out 7 steps on this great earth and declared, I'm supreme in this world. To you who was wise even then, possessing a pure body and an excellent supreme form, an ocean of wisdom, a mountain of gold, fame throughout the 3 worlds, homage to you, supreme protector. With the supreme marks and a face like the stainless moon, homage to you, golden colored one, free from stains, there is none like you in the 3 worlds, homage to you, incomparably wise one, supreme among humans, charioteer and tamer of beings. Tathagata, who severs the all-enmeshing fetters, who with senses pacify and utterly pacify, is skillful. Homage to you who dwelt at Shravasti. You, protector, who possesses great kindness, all-knowing teacher, perfect one, basis of oceans of merit and qualities. Homage to you, the Tathagata. Purity, the cause of freedom from attachments, virtue that liberates from the lower realms. This alone is the sublime ultimate reality. Homage to the Dharma that pacifies. Having been liberated, you show the path to liberation. Devoted to the moral precepts, you are a field of perfect qualities. Homage to you, the sublime Sangha. Now take a few moments to let body and mind settle. Let body and mind settle evenly. Let body and mind settle naturally, settling evenly and naturally into their own places. Without needing to fix, without needing to modify anything. If there's anything at all to do, it's to get out of the way. To get out of the way and let body and mind find their own places, their natural places. That place where they know how to be quiet, at ease, and at rest. The Zen has a tradition that expresses this as tracing the light back to its origins. So light is illuminating outwards. Now trace that light back to the origins. Tracing back the radiance as a Zen experience, a Zen expression. Or in the Theravada Thai forest tradition, there's the expression of, rather than paying attention to the activities of the heart, now look at the heart itself. Look at Chitta itself rather than the activities of Chitta. Perhaps you could raise a question. Who is it? Or what is it? What is this heart? What is this mind? But not in an intellectual way, but rather genuine curiosity to ask, what is it? What is this that knows? That which knows is literally what Buddha means. That which knows. And right now is the knowing. Now is the knowing. Now is the Buddha.
I knew it was me somewhere. And that's Miss Wednesday.
Let body and mind settle. Physically, the body doesn't move. Verbally, sound doesn't move. Mental, emotionally, mind doesn't move. Even though the goal is not to freeze body, speech, and mind, especially at the beginning, if we don't develop the capacity to be still, then when afflictive emotions come, we have no ability to handle them. They will blow, and we will be blown to the left and right and up and down and be completely at their mercy. And so, in order to train ourselves so that when the winds are blowing, we remain still. Therefore, we train artificially to freeze body, speech, and mind at will, even if the final goal is not to have body, speech, and mind frozen, but is to train the ability, the muscle, to move or to be still at will. Okay. So again, hello everyone. The next housekeeping issue is actually regarding some time back. In fact, this was discussed maybe during the LOSAR program. Anyway, we have these tata, which is originally these clay statues and stupas, which is a practice in itself. Often people will like make tatas as a way to practice purification, as a way to accumulate merit. So people make tatas. In some traditions, part of the preliminary ngondro is to make 100,000 tatas, and then to give them away, to put them in the mountains, sacred images of stupas, of particular Buddhas, particular great bodhisattvas, particular deities. So I mentioned, we have these tata molds for Achi Choki Droma, which is the special protector of Drigong Kagyu. And I think at least 8 people have written to info@Drigong Dhammakirti expressing interest in having one of those molds. So let me explain a little bit the idea of having those molds. The idea of having those molds is so that you will make the tata and then share those tatas. Yeah, to make those tatas and share those tata. So this is one of the tatas that has been made by the professional who Laura Russell here in Asheville found to help us cast the mold. The original mold that I have was actually sent by Jasper and Leonard in Malaysia, but they were in the style of like brass molds, and it was very hard to use those brass molds because they are so fine, the details, and it was very hard to produce this quality of tata. And so Laura did a lot of research and finally found some guy in our local area who was able to make the silicone mold. So if what currently you are interested in is to have a tata, you don't need to get the mold. Once other people have the mold and they are churning out the tatas, then you can announce here, hey, I have some tatas to give away, who wants? Then, you can get one. So if all you want is a tata of Achi, then no need to get the mold, really. On the other hand, I know, like, for example, in Guatemala, a number of people might want. My suggestion is for them to pull together your resources so that rather than getting one mold, you get 2 or 3 molds. Then, or in Mexico, if you're in the same area, Mexico is really big, not like Guatemala, much smaller, you can just drive around. But if you're in Mexico in the same area, again, if you want, ideally you get 2 or 3 molds, so that each time when you pour the liquid, you can make 3 tatas. It takes about half an hour for each tata to solidify. Then the making of tata is not just, pouring stuff. That's the technical part. There's also mantras to recite, things to visualize, things to meditate on, because in a way you are birthing Buddhists. Right? You are creating nirmanakayas of Buddhists. Really, it's a form of nirmanakaya, which is physical form. So you are in the act of actually birthing Buddhists. And so with that comes, so like you begin the Tata making time by taking refuge for immeasurables, generating bodhicitta. Then there's like some very detailed visualizations and recitations, which, frankly, if you ask me, you don't have to do exactly so detailed because it can be overwhelming. But a general kind of sense of maintaining a particular kind of mind, a particular awareness, like right now I'm giving birth, I am bringing nirmanakayas into existence, and these nirmanakayas will be shared, including like putting them in the forest, in the jungles, for other beings to encounter. So then maybe you make them out of different material, more lasting, less lasting, depending on how you look at it. I can also see how, if you want to make it in the mountains or in the jungle or forest or out in nature, and you don't necessarily want it to stay there for so long, culturally, you think, if people find it, they might, do things that are not right. Then you can, like, basically, if you're creative, you can get mud or something firm enough to make it, but it won't stay permanent. You can just leave it there, right? After 1 or 2 rains, it completely dissolves. But even when it dissolves that way, then it's like the Nirmanakaya blessings are being spread. Yeah. But if you're going to make it and send it to other people, then you also want to, and at that point, I'll give this what's called zung. Zung is dharanis, meaning mantras that is rolled up tightly and inserted into the tata. That's like the essence of the tata are these mantras and dharanis. So then you will also roll them up. Of course, this is very thin, yeah. So the zung cannot be thick. It has to be able to be embedded inside. Lacking in a zung, like mantras, then at the very least, like a blessing pill or barley that has been consecrated is put inside. Lacking even that is 3 beads of 3 colors. White on the crown, red in the throat area, blue in the heart, representing Om Ah Hong, the 3 syllables that bring them alive. So this can be a really good activity or a practice because it's hands-on. Sometimes just sitting quietly meditating can be a little challenging. So if you have like almost like an area where you can set up a tata workshop or a group, safely with mask on, gathering at the tata workshop outside, you can spend a weekend making these tatas. Yeah. So now we have this Archie one. We also have started experimenting with a Kyopa Rinpoche one, a Jigten Sumgun. We have also been experimenting that. That one is slightly more challenging because of that is more in the form of a statue. And that was actually a statue. Tatas usually are flat in the back. So this is more typical of tata. Yeah, it's like that. The Jigten Sumgun statue is a full statue, so the casting and the mold is a little bit more challenging. But that once we have tested it and feel like it's doable, we will also make that available. The price quote we got from the guy is $25 per mold. then of course whatever the shipping cost to get to wherever. Yeah. So again, if you are interested in this, even just getting one mold, I'm not saying you need to get a few before we'll give it to you. Even just one mold, if you like to get one, you can send an email to info@dragongdharmakirti.com. Then, Javier has already shared in the chat that address. You should know that email address by heart, info@dragongdharmakirti.com, because what do? When in doubt, email there. You forgot your password, email there. You forgot the password to join Zoom, email there. Or another place is to ask that question. If you are using Facebook, we have a group, a private group. Although in the private group, there's way more people who have joined the group, but who are not part of the Wednesday night Sangha. I don't know why they joined the group. I also didn't say no to them. I was like, okay, if you want to just kind of watch and see what's going on, you can join it. But do know that there are over 90 members in that private group on Facebook called Dragong Dharmakirti. So that could be another place you can ask each other. Some of us are there, so you can help each other. Yeah. But info@dragongdharmakirti.com is a good place to email there. And if anyone wants to help with managing that email address, Javier can always use some help to monitor that email address. He's already doing a lot of things for the various things that I need to get done. So more broadly, if other people want to help, again, email there, and then he will reach back to respond to your offers. Lucrezia, you have a question or comment?
Yes, thank you. If we have the mold and we want to leave some of these figures in the wood, is it okay if we make it out of something that is eatable? So maybe animals would eat it, or it's not right?
No, that's not so common. Yeah. Yeah. I don't think we should do that. And also this mold, it won't work. The silicone mold, I cannot imagine. I guess you could put you could put masa or but it won't come out right. Yeah.
And if we prepare and we should give it as a gift on, maybe that's very evident answer, but only for people who are in the Dharma, or
Yeah.
needs to be understood and appreciated by people.
Right, exactly. And especially with the Achi Tata, I would say, only give it to Dragong Kagyu people. Because otherwise, I don't know, it seems kind of unnecessary, as if we're trying to pull people in, that's not what we're trying to do.
Thank you.
Yeah. At some point in Dragong Dharmakirti as a group, we will be introduced to Achi Chogidroma practice, the protector practice. And, of course, if you look online, various Dragong Lamas are probably doing Achi Chogidroma programs. You all are certainly, welcome to, if you have time and interest, to join those programs. Somebody recently asked me specifically about a specific program that is coming up and checked in with me and see if it's a good idea to participate. My answer is yes. Just today somebody asked me that, and I said, yeah, I appreciate that you're asking, because it's all about, if you think of someone as the coach, then whether you should lift that much or not, you check in to ask, But generally, I can say, the answer is yes, of course, whatever you think you can absorb, then good, Then, of course, with the caveat, there might be things that you don't know how to absorb, and you will experience that. And then when you experience that, just know, don't grasp. If you cannot absorb, if you cannot digest, just know that, well, I can't, and don't make it an issue. Especially don't make it a serious issue, because when it's a serious issue, I can't help you, because I probably didn't attend the teaching. I have no idea what you heard. Even here, when I give the teaching, sometimes I have no idea what I said, much less some other lama saying some other thing. I don't know what they said. I can't. I mean, I've had people messaging me saying, I did this and that, and then now there is this issue. I said, not that I don't want to help, but how do I know what the other person prescribed, And I can barely really help, even with my prescription. I try my best, But then definitely if it is someone else's prescription, then you need to get in touch with that person. And then this person is in South America, and they're like, it's not so easy for me to communicate with this other teacher. I was like, well, then I don't know what to say. I can't do much, This is someone who is talking about like energy and then certain anxieties, and I said, well, all I can say is that if you cannot get, communication from whoever you got this practice from, all I can say is relax, don't do that anymore if you don't know how to handle whatever is coming up. So anyway, so right now, lots of teachers are teaching, making their teachings available online. So in general, of course it is good to increase your learning, and but importantly is practice to change the mind. If not, then we're just gathering stuff. Gathering information.
Could I say something?
Yeah, sure.
I'm sorry I'm late. I forgot it was Wednesday, and my days are all rolling together, so I missed the first 20 minutes.
Yeah, it's easy to forget.
Yeah.
What day of the week it is now.
Yeah, so I want to ask, is there anything important that I missed?
Oh yes, I gave away enlightenment, so they are all like rainbow body already. Everybody else, sorry, Christina, you have to stick around and fix all the problems. We're all leaving.
Okay, easy.
No, we did opening prayers, and then we meditated. Yeah.
That was some next level Buddhist savagery right there. I gotta say that.
Hello?
It's Rowan.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Go ahead.
No, I
Yes.
said that was some next level Buddhist savagery you were going off on there.
Oh yeah,
But on that note, I would like to just share that I found the chanting version in English very like energizing and focusing, and
Oh,
I love it.
Oh, good. We'll try. We'll keep experimenting. I discovered towards the end, it's like I could slow it down a little bit, so that we're not out of breath. And then especially, I'm very grateful, those of you for which English is a second language, that you're putting up with, meeting with us. then I cannot imagine, like trying to like follow that speed. So I'm taking mental notes so we could slow down a little. Yeah. Yeah, there's something about chanting. Gachen Rinpoche, one time he said, the difference between reading and chanting, sadhanas and prayers, right, and supplications, he says, it's the difference between watching someone eat and actually eating, he says. Yeah. So he says reading sadhanas, reading practice texts, it's like watching someone eat. Chanting it, he says, it's the actual eating. I don't completely logically understand that, but on a heart level, I get it. I'm sure you have had that feeling to various things. On the heart level, you kind of get it. Hard to logically like cut it up and go, oh, it's like this, like this, like this, like this.
Can I make another comment, Dr. Lam?
Yes, please, anybody, just unmute and speak. Yeah, we don't need to be so formal.
Oh, I wanted to share that for the past weeks that you suggested in the Tuesday practices to the Guatemala group, Tangas, that we practice the Achi, the Achi practice. Well, for some weeks I was, I think it's the last month, but I was absolutely lost. When I, yeah, so I've never heard of it or listened to any of it, so I was very lost. So, but then I stopped. I said, well, I'm leading a group. I'm really lost, and I think I moved out of the practice like twice. But yesterday, actually, we were given the link to where you provided the explanation by the end of December, and I left the group and I said, well, I'm going to first listen to this explanation. And what happened to me is that I went through the video again, and this morning, I remember, it's like I've heard all these teachings. I've heard all the teaching last year in December, but I didn't get it. You see, so but as I was listening to you in that video again, I said, oh, I've heard it, but until now, I am understanding it. So it was when you shared the link. Well, I believe at least I got a bit of it, but it was very interesting for me.
Yes.
I've heard it before in December. It went through like that. And then all this practice began every Tuesday, and I was absolutely lost. I said, what are they doing? And what is this about? But maybe yesterday now it was a better moment for me. And I was happy. That's what I wanted to share.
Yeah.
With the group is that I was happy that I said, oh, okay, now I'm beginning to get it. Who Ashley was and what, and then about the. So it was an interesting experience.
Right.
To remember the words that went through me at some point.
Right.
But
Right.
not catching any of it until I heard them again
Yes.
last evening. So I think it's because I was already made up my mind by what you said before. I said, well, if I don't get it, if I don't feel anything, then I won't force myself into this practice. Because I'm not ready for it yet. But it has to click, And
It builds. These things build, and they come together when they come together. So main thing is don't reject anything because we don't understand. Putting it aside and rejecting are two different things, you know. Just kind of let it go back into the background, and then when the time comes, it comes together in the foreground.
And I had reason to, so when you said that we could have this mold,
Mm-hmm.
I had in that moment, I said, I want one of the molds.
Mm-hmm.
Pleasure to prepare and share.
Mm-hmm.
But now I'm realizing that it's an Aki mold, and I'm like, oh, yeah, these are coming together.
Yes, it comes together. Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, so things build in their own momentum. Things are happening in the background that we may or may not be aware of. This is part of what we call interdependence, meaning many causes and conditions come together for things to happen, right? Then especially the interdependencies that are necessary for Dharma practice. So for Dharma practice, we say, as extensively as we can, making some connection to whatever like virtue that we see happening. If it is not possible to make a physical connection, then to rejoice in it is the connection. If it is possible to make a physical connection, often it's saying, here, let me send you $5, you know, let me send you even $1, yeah? Or let me owe you $1. Yeah? When I see you next time, I'll give you that dollar and remind me to take that dollar. Yeah. That is how we kind of, because, you know, unfortunately or fortunately, that's how we kind of get involved in things, right? We give money. If you live in a society where people give each other bananas, then you can say, yeah, oh yeah, let me give you one banana, you know. But we've stopped using bananas, you know, to transact. So then even like money, you know, you say, oh yeah, you know, let me give you a few dollars to be involved, right, in the conditions. And that it slowly begins to build. On the other hand, it can be kind of superstitious and greedy, you know, like, oh, let me give you some, let me give you some, let me give you some. So it's all a matter of understanding and attitude, you know. When we can skillfully use these methods, they can be very far-ranging, their effects. And we can see those effects kind of coming together more and more clearly, and in ways that it even surprises you, you know, like, wow, I don't know what's going on, but something, you know, is going on. So one comment about the not knowing what is going on, and that is the nature of, right, joining a group. There's always people continuing to join. And especially when you first join, you know, you have no idea what is going on. Yeah. So I want to encourage, you know, like you guys to be generous with each other and be humble with each other. What I mean by that is help each other out. And if you like have a buddy, a Dharma buddy, right? If you know you are new in the group, and then you find someone else in the group that you know has been longer, then the one who has been there longer, with humility but with generosity, can really help the new people who have just arrived to come up to speed to some degree. Yeah. So don't be too afraid, right, to be generous as long as you remember to be humble. Because also what you see sometimes at Dharma centers, you know, not Zoom so much, you know, we don't know yet how all this plays out in Zoom. But at Dharma centers, you know, sometimes right, you have these Dharma police people going around policing everyone. that they are doing it right, they're doing it wrong. That's one kind of dysfunctionality. And then another kind of dysfunctionality is sort of everyone, not everyone, many people wanting to be like the teacher, giving out advice. Then some people are so turned off by that, the opposite. Not out of stinginess, but the opposite. Don't feel like they should say anything or to new people. And so then it swings the other way. That is all unhealthy, you know. So be guided by humility and be guided by generosity. We can really help each other out a lot. And know when to say, I don't know. And know when to say, I know something about that. I can help you with that. Those two things are good things, you know. Then we can really help each other. I myself cannot do everything that needs to be done, you know. And then if each time I see some new people, I go back to the beginning, then I'm dragging the rest of you behind. Yeah. And that can also be frustrating. So we have to figure out a way to kind of bring people along. So that's a good idea, like Christina wrote in the chat, you know, I can be a Dharma buddy. So anybody else, you know, don't be shy, you know. You can also offer, I can be a Dharma buddy. This is my email. And, you know, the people who offer also, again, offer in the spirit of generosity and humility. And also, if nobody writes you, well, karmic connection, not enough. Nothing to go, oh, nobody wrote me. Yeah. So on the issue of merit, last weekend I did a program with Mexico City, so it's fresh in my mind. I want to share with you. On the issue of merit, you know, one of the crucial role of merit, why it is so necessary to always think in terms of how can I increase merit, how can I generate merit, how can I gather merit, you know, is that if you understand that merit is the basis of connecting with other people, merit is the basis of virtuous connection, good connection, helpful connection with others. Without merit, we will have no connection with others. And even worse, we will have negative connections with others. So merit is at the root of whether we have or we don't have connection with others. If we find ourselves somehow, even when we don't mean it, we find a hard time connecting with people, in Dharma terms, it's because you don't have enough virtuous merit, good merit, friendly merit, to be in a supportive community. Really, that's how it happens. Because there is not enough merit. Growing up in Malaysia in the Buddhist kind of family, when my grandmother was very devout, not necessarily educated in Dharma, but very devout in terms of heart. So she went to this nunnery that I also went to as a kid. Because she went there. Sometimes she was my babysitter. She would take me there. And growing up, you know, really being able to see how this notion of creating merit is very natural. I don't see greediness. Sometimes we think, oh, this is like greedy. It's very natural and very heartfelt. And when somebody has a Dharma project, always, no matter how little, somebody say, oh, here, let me add to it. Let me add to it. Just a little bit. Those who can, more, That particular nunnery that my grandmother went to, actually, it draws like the mothers and the grandmothers of like the particular kind of famous families in my hometown. My family wasn't one of those families, but my grandma's, I would say, to praise her, she had a certain grace about her that even though, we didn't come from a prominent family, and there's a lot of prominent family in that group, over time, she gained a like kind of big sister standing among the laity in that nunnery group. And that was really the way she really created merit. And so in that environment, people will bring food for each other, and it's called, in Chinese, it's called 结善缘. 善缘, 善 is like good, 缘 is conditions. To 结 is to connect, to join together. So it's called joining together of good, virtuous connections. By sharing food, by giving gifts, by supporting each other's Dharma activities and Dharma effort. Someone says, oh, I'm going on pilgrimage. It's like, here, some money for you to go on pilgrimage. Use it however you want to use it. Then when they come back from pilgrimage, inevitably they have little things, that they bring from their pilgrimage and give to everyone. So that's how, these causes and conditions are created, planted, Then, at the very least, you can still, just by rejoicing, like from the heart, like, I'm so glad, this person get to do this virtuous thing. This person gets to go on pilgrimage. I can't go because of this, because of that, no money, no time. People who have time don't have money. People who have money don't have time. People who have money and time don't have strength, All sorts of situations, We can either get stuck in like, oh, poor me, or, wow, get involved, right? Create good conditions. Then merit will help you connect to everyone, to people around you. So that's an important part of Dharma practice. Comments, questions?
Dr. Lai?
Yes.
So, that was an important discussion on merit, because I have a hardest, I have to see something, and I have to be able to count it.
Yes.
So when you talk about merit, how many merit, I start thinking, how many I get for doing this, doing that.
Yeah,
it's really hard to figure that out.
Right. Yeah, it's not quantifiable. Yeah, it's a hard connection, It's not quantifiable. It's basically generating goodness in the world, and even just by recognizing goodness happening, that's a form of adding to the merit. Yeah, so the dual accumulation, sometimes it says, the entire path is the accumulation of merit and the accumulation of wisdom. I think in the West, we have been so attracted by the accumulation of wisdom, knowledge, clarity, right? Oh, we understand because we are well educated, really, cognitively, many of us are very advanced. And then if you grew up in spiritual traditions who basically told you, don't ask so much, just do what I tell you, right? So then you turn against that and you're like, that doesn't make any sense. Then you connect with Buddhism because it makes sense, right? Wonderful, But that itself is not yet wisdom, first of all. That is knowledge. For the knowledge to mature into wisdom, merit is necessary. Again, what is merit? Merit, is that which helps us connect with others, because the accumulation of merit is said to be what gives rise to great compassion. The accumulation of knowledge and understanding leads to the fruition of wisdom. The accumulation of merit leads to fruition of great compassion. And great compassion and great wisdom are the two wings of enlightenment. And so these two have to be developed hand in hand. So merit is also chanting Om Mani Padme Hum for the benefit of all beings. Turning prayer wheel for the benefit of all beings. So many, many ways. In for example, another example, in Thai, Sri Lankan, Burmese communities, one of the biggest events in the monastic calendar is the end of the rains retreat. They have 3 months in those traditions of the rainy season retreat. It's a monastic calendar whereby during the Vasa, it's called Vasa, monks cannot travel. Once they start Vasa in one monastery, one place, they have to stay put for the 3 months. Then at the end of those 3 months, there is the annual offering of new robes and necessities to the monastic community. So usually, like in some cases, like 3 or 4 in the morning, devotees will start coming to the monastery, and you'll have devotees line up from the hall where the offerings are being made to the monks at the end of the retreat, all the way down to wherever, as long as there are people lining up on both sides. Then the people who have things to offer, they will come processing down. As they come processing down, people standing on both sides you will hear them saying, sadhu, sadhu, sa, which is a traditional exclamation of excellent, 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 excellent. So that's outwardly rejoicing. So it's said that when you do it from the heart, then everything that is offered, you are involved in the offering. Then you will also see people, this is of course pre-pandemic, touching. Touching when they bring the things and walk down, everybody touches the object that is being offered. Doesn't matter if it is a fancy robe, or even, sometimes people walk down with a bar of soap. There is no sense of like, oh, this is so little, that is so big. The bar of soap, everybody touches it too. And by touching, it says you make a connection. It's not like, Buddha or God is going, oh, you didn't touch, you don't get. This is our own psychology, because we are embodied beings, right? So touching it makes a visceral connection to the gift. Then the gift is given in there. So often what happens is once you have given your gift, you get in line to stand on the side. So this line keeps growing. So everybody is witnessing this giving of gifts. Yeah. Buddhist cultures. There are also crazy things, you know, in Buddhist cultures, but let's not learn those things. Daniela, did you have? Yeah.
Sorry. You are talking about this bird of two wings, and maybe we have an ultimate bird and a relative bird, because one time I heard a great lama that has been here, and he says that in Latin America, like countries like Mexico, we have a lot of devotion.
Yes.
And less wisdom. Something like that.
Yes.
I think in United States or Germany, or I don't know, you have more knowledge and less devotion.
Yes.
But you are speaking about merit, you are speaking about great compassion. And this is not related so directly with devotion.
Oh, it is. Devotion is another face of it. Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And I want to say this.
We don't have a lot of compassion, I think. We have a lot of devotion.
Yes. But in the Buddhist understanding, of devotion, it's linked to compassion. And compassion is not, okay, we should say karuna, because compassion has certain connotations that may or may not be so prominent in the Buddhist understanding either. It's not necessarily... Anyway, compassion and devotion are very much related in the Dharma. And one thing I want to say to those of you in Latin America, I know sometimes because there's a lot of devotion, then you meet some Buddhist teachers who might even say, maybe not directly, but indirectly, like have more wisdom, as if these two things are competing, you know? Kind of like turn down the devotion so that you can turn up the wisdom. No. Why turn down the devotion, you know? Keep it high. Yeah. Just make sure you keep turning up, you know, the wisdom side. Yeah. So first comment. Second comment, also, different Buddhist traditions have different methods. Yeah. Now, not wanting to sound sectarian, but I can say, if you are following the Kagyupa tradition and you have a lot of devotion, you are ahead of the rest of us. Even if that devotion right now is a little weird, a little off, still very Guadalupe style, you know. It's okay. If you are going to be Kagyupa, you have a lot more kind of like oomph. That oomph just needs to be directed in the right direction. Yeah. If you want to be Gelupa, maybe you have to change, you know, turn down some of the devotion, you know. I don't know. I cannot speak for them, but definitely I can speak for Kagyupas, you know, that devotion. Yeah. Don't underestimate that devotion. Don't be afraid of that devotion. Yes, it cannot be a dualistic devotion. Yes, I understand why some teachers who have taught in Latin America a long time, they are right. They're absolutely right. That kind of devotion is very dualistic. But the solution is not to stop the devotion. The solution there is how to go from a dualistic devotion to a non-dual devotion. Here, in fact, even in Buddha Dharma, there is dualistic devotion. In the 4 levels of Tantra, some of you may or may not know about this. In Tantra, in Vajrayana, it said that there are 4 levels of Tantra. Action Tantra, Performance Tantra, Yoga Tantra, and Unexcelled Yoga Tantra. Right? In these 4 levels of Tantra, basically it begins with a dualistic devotion of Action Tantra. In action tantra, there is me, there is the deity in front. I make a lot of offerings to the deity. I praise the deity. I say, oh, deity, please come here. Oh, deity, please don't leave me. Oh, deity, I miss you so much. Blah, blah, blah. All of that. That is all about action tantra. So there is dualistic devotion even in the Dharma. Yeah. So don't be afraid of dualistic devotion if you understand and know that this dualistic devotion is to be transformed over time into non-dual devotion. Yeah. So don't be afraid of your what you already have. In fact, that is an advantage. And I said, like my limitation is, I've said before in the past to people, I know how to teach. I think I know how to teach understanding and knowledge. I don't know how to teach devotion. So those of you who have a lot of devotion, then maybe I'm the right person. I can teach you knowledge and understanding. Then those of you who don't have a lot of devotion, you are in trouble if you follow me, because I have no idea how to teach you devotion. Someone like Gachen Rinpoche, just him being present, he can teach you devotion. Because that's harder to teach. Of the two, devotion is way harder to teach. It's way harder to infect someone else with devotion. Antonio, you have your hand raised. Yes, please.
Yes, when you were talking about merit, I was thinking that positive karma and merit have a distinction. They are related, but they have something that makes positive karma into merit. So, could you
say that again?
Explain a little? Like when you were talking about merit, I have the sense that, you have positive karma.
Wait, positive karma is merit.
Okay.
Yeah. First of all, when you say positive karma, you mean what? Like, karma literally means action. Do you mean action or do you mean result of action when you say positive karma? So let's clarify that. Huh?
Action.
You mean action? Yeah. So when a virtuous action, when a skillful action is created, merit is created.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you infuse it with devotion and dedication and aspiration, then it becomes multiplied or different?
It becomes multiplied, it becomes greater. Yeah. And that devotion is, that motivation is about compassion and loving kindness. Yeah. So merit is another context. Merit is fuel. The fuel that your wisdom needs to feed on in order to be bright.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So,
on the same line of thought, I have a confusion. How is it that I can share merit or dedicate merit to others, but I cannot share the karma, says Gampopa in the Gampopa reading, says it's impossible that one will meet with karma that one did not produce. How is that karma or the results of karma I cannot share, but merit I can dedicate to others and help?
Yes.
I don't
positive result you can dedicate to others. But when you dedicate merit to others, you provide a condition for other people's causes to ripen. You cannot give causes, positive or negative, to anyone. Yeah.
The subtle difference, but it's
Yes.
important.
Yes. Yeah. Causes and conditions. We always talk about causes and conditions, right? So if I have causes for whether we label it good or bad, right? I have the causes for something to happen, right? But if the conditions for that thing to happen aren't there, no matter how much causes I have, that cause is not going to bear fruit. So to dedicate merit is to provide conditions for others, to ripen their causes. Yeah. So it's also, in a way, it's the different context, I would say. When Gampopa is emphasizing how karma cannot, me eating is not going to make you full, right? That is emphasizing something else. So that's why in the end, right, logic, it cannot actually lead you to wisdom. Because this is not like, accounting, where everything kind of adds up. Yeah, there's something that doesn't quite add up. I get what you're asking too, That's why sometimes presenting Buddhism as if, it is some sort of like physics or chemistry can create some problems because we have an expectation that somehow everything can be explained. No. Because we say, there are objects of knowledge that we don't have the power to penetrate right now. Whereas Buddhists, they can perceive all objects of knowledge. So that's why in the Buddha's, I gave the example, right? Somehow on Chutru Duchen, and the 15 days of that month, right? Merit is multiplied 100 million times. You're like, how does that work? Logically, doesn't make any sense. Why certain days, right? I could give an explanation. I could give a poetic expression and say, oh, it's because if we think of, the great deeds of the Buddha, and that maybe would enhance the power. Here, I'm just offering a logical explanation. But according to the Vinaya text, it says, this is something that the Buddha can see, we cannot see. So seeing how it works, the Buddha passed on the information to us. And the example I gave is, I have no idea how my microwave oven works. But I know what it can do, and I just do what, I need to do for it to do what it can do for me to get the result. Also important to know, right? Not to put this metal in my microwave to warm it up. So there are things in Dharma practice that, you're not going to understand the logic, But relatively speaking, a lot of what we practice, we can understand the logic. Yeah. So in that way, I think more than, many other spiritual traditions, relatively speaking, understanding is highly valued in the Buddhist tradition in general. Yeah, so don't throw that out. Keep working on that as well. Yeah, again, just like you don't have to turn down the devotion in order to have the wisdom up. Likewise, you don't have to turn down the wisdom knob, in order for the compassion to act stronger. We want to turn both knobs up. We want to turn up the volume for both. Whoa, Antonio, what's going on? Oh, okay. You were manifesting rainbow body. That was very impressive.
When my camera frozen sometimes.
I thought rainbow body, and then I called your name, then you came back to samsara. Sorry. Next time, ignore me, okay? If I call your name and you're manifesting rainbow body.
Okay.
Yeah, any other comments or things to share?
Yeah, Doctor.
Hi, Vicky.
Hi.
Okay, by the way, let's see. Sheila is in Northern Virginia. Vicky is in Guayaquil in Ecuador. I want you all to know who's who. Daniela is in Mexico. Where in Mexico?
In Mexico City.
Oh, Mexico City. Okay,
Yes,
good.
right now.
Samantha, where are you?
Monterrey. That's
Monterrey. Okay. Okay. Mexico, Monterrey. And Antonio is in Guatemala City. Who else has spoken tonight? I already forgot. Oh, Christina is in Asheville,
No,
just
I'm
down the
Asheville,
road.
North Carolina,
Yeah,
downtown.
Yeah, Fabiola. Asheville as well. Yeah, who else has spoken? I forgot already. Rowan, also Asheville, North Carolina. Rowan also spoke. Okay, anyway, Vicky, sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. I wanted to say that the way I see it too is that as we do, our meditation practice and we say our mantras, yes, we make a merit that we can share with all sentient beings, but also when as a bodhisattva we're generous, and this does not mean money, but this means when we smile to that person.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, when we are kind, when we help,
Yes.
we any action that we
Yes.
do with this intention
Yes.
of being kind, because the practice and the wisdom, the great wisdom meditation and the mantras takes us to be this type of person.
Yes.
So all these generous actions, that is merit that we make
Yes.
currently
Yes.
that we can share.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
with this Sangha
Yeah.
and with other sentient beings.
Yeah.
So that is what I wanted to
Yeah,
bring up.
thank you. Yeah, that was basically the gist of the Jambala Lord of Abundance program I did with Casa Tibet this past weekend. The essence of generosity is the openness of heart. The openness of heart is to give up self-grasping. Yeah, so as it turns out, the perfection of generosity, which is said to be the first of the merit-generating practices, in the end, if you look at that carefully, what is generosity? Generosity is the perfection of wisdom. Why? What are you perfecting in wisdom? When wisdom is fully realized, ego clinging is out the window, gone completely. And what is, what is generosity? Is giving up the self-grasping. So again, to me, this further points to Jigten Sumgön's style. Jigten Sumgön always, he says, that which was taught at the beginning is where everything else that is taught later is for the purpose of helping us realize everything that was taught at the beginning. Right? Today I was talking to one of our translators. He said, I'm starting to see, because he's living in Thailand now, and even as I say, you know, Theravada is not Hinayana, yeah, but a lot of the Theravada teachings, yeah, focus on that individual level. Yeah, don't equate Theravada with Hinayana, but nonetheless, in the Theravada, there's a lot of focus on that individual level, on the Four Noble Truths, on the foundational teachings. And so this translator, Sean, he said, more than any other, like Tibetan lamas that I have translated their works from the ancient period, he said, more than anybody else, I see that Jigten Sumgön always goes back to these foundational issues. I said, that's exactly it. Whereas everybody else in Tibetan Buddhism is focused on what is the highest, what is the most profound, he turns everything around that says, you know, what Buddha taught at the beginning already has everything that we need to, that in fact the highest, what he taught at the beginning is in fact the realizations that we need to have. What he taught subsequent to that are just all the different ways to help us realize what is already shown at the beginning. So even in this case of the 6 perfections, yeah, the perfection of generosity is said to be the most basic, but most basic doesn't mean like Buddhism for dummies basic. It means that is the beginning and that is the end. You will need to make this journey called the path. Where the path leads you is to fully realize what was taught right at the beginning. That's his style.
There's something kind of comforting about that. Where he's like, just knowing that he had said, no, yes, all this advanced stuff is pointing back to
yes,
the very basic fundamentals.
Yes. The heart of the matter, you know, he already gave us right at the beginning. Then you do whatever else, you know, that you need to take from the higher stuff, the fancy stuff, in order to help you realize, embody. We use the word realization a lot. Sometimes it's become a meaningless word. It means to embody, to actualize. What he taught right at the beginning. What Buddha taught right at the beginning. So his famous, Jigten Sumgön's famous Vajra statement that many people quote, but I think, I feel like when people quote it, you know, they don't really mean it. They think, oh, Jigten Sumgön is just poetically saying this, which is that Vajra statement that says, you know, where others consider to be not profound, I consider to be truly profound. Even when others quote that, you know, they're just kind of trying to make the point, don't rush to the higher things, focus on the foundational fundamentals. They think, you know, that statement is just like a poetic way of saying, don't rush. But the more I practice and I study Jigten Sumgön's teachings, the more I see that, no, actually he means more than that. He actually means, like literally, where others find to be not profound is what's truly profound. He literally means it. He's not just... I find that when others quote that, you know, it's always in the context of like the Ngondro teachings, so as not to have students say, I want to do the profound things. So then they quote him like that, you know, and it's almost like a skillful means. But I'm starting to understand more like, no, actually it's not skillful means. It's literally, he means it. So when it comes to the foundational stuff, it's actually not that complicated. Yes, suffering, cause of suffering. End of suffering, the way to end suffering. Four Noble Truths. Four Noble Truths is cause and effect, actually. Yeah, can you see that? The Four Noble Truths is basically cause and effect. The first two Noble Truths is about samsara. The second two Noble Truths is about nirvana. Then, the first two Noble Truths is the effect of samsara and the cause of samsara. The effect of samsara is suffering, dukkha. The cause is grasping, clinging, thirst. Then the two Noble Truths about nirvana, again, is the effect and the cause. The third is there is an end to samsara. There is a cessation to samsara called nirvana. What is the cause? The path, which is the fourth Noble Truth. So in fact, the Four Noble Truths, if you distill it down further, is cause and effect. And yet there are people, who say, oh, this teaching on cause and effect is just Buddhism for dummies. You transcend cause and effect. You become free from cause and effect. Jiten Samgun says, no. Wrong view. Right? It's about fully and completely realizing all the implications of cause and effect. So then we come back to the level of rejoicing in merit, generating merit. So the openness of heart is what generates merit. The openness of heart allows us to see. As I said, over the weekend, we were talking about generosity in the program, Understandably, very heartfelt questions, Some people said, I don't know. Sometimes I feel, I have my problems, How can I help others? How can I give, And I said, yeah, I get it. I get it, that feeling. And I don't dismiss that at all. I get it. Yeah, I have the same feeling, I said, but what I remind myself is, often when we feel like I don't have enough, it's because we are not really comparing. It's because we are comparing this with something else, right? It's always relative to something else. If you cannot change this, right? There's something else you can change, right? What you compare it with can change. The so-called reality that I'm in, that you are in, that reality doesn't exist by itself. That reality, that so-called reality, is a relative reality because it's always in comparison to something else, right? So often when we say, I don't have enough, it's in comparison to what? To, at one point when I have. Sure, if you use that as a reference point, it's not enough. Right? I used to have 3 vehicles. Now, I only have 1. Of course. No question. But especially when this current situation I cannot change, right? But what I compare this to can change. Why be so committed to only one relative? Relative to when I have 3 vehicles. Now my family, we only have 1 vehicle, and it has complicated our life. Yes, of course, the reality is now you can only afford 1 vehicle, right? But if you're stubborn about always thinking back when I have 3 vehicles, then you'll always be stuck in that suffering. But if you think, oh, now this situation, and you relative it to something else, that gives some space, right? That creates some space. That opens up some space. Some of us might say, you're just, thinking otherwise. Yeah, because happiness and suffering happens in the thinking. Where else does happiness and suffering take place? It doesn't take place in the sofa. It takes place in the mind. I'm like, when people say, you're just like thinking positive. Yeah, but where else does happiness and suffering happen? It happens in the heart. Yeah, so when I say, I'm stuck with these old shoes, I can't get new shoes. Yeah. Oh, poor me, Yeah, but it's not that hard to look around and find that, there are people with no shoes. Then old shoes is not that bad, And then if you're like, oh, wait, now I don't have shoes, It's also not that hard, to find people with no legs. It's what you want to relativize your situation to. I'm not telling you you have to relativize this way or that way. I am telling you, what do you want to choose? Happiness or suffering? You choose. Right? What do you want to choose? Happiness or suffering? So we make choices. Choices have consequences. Probably next week, we are going to start to be introduced to the particular preliminary practices, Ngondro, that I am. Javier, are you there? Yeah.
Yep, I'm here.
Yeah. So you want to share screen and quickly remind people how to get to the protected areas, because there's probably some text that we will upload there soon.
Yep, sure. Let me just
Practice makes perfect. Practice is about repetition. We tend to forget. There are too many things to remember, where to go to get what.
Forget passwords really easy.
I think it's easy. No, not for me, but yeah. Okay. So, are you seeing my screen?
Oh yes, we are.
Okay, good. All right. So, the protected area was moved out of the main menu. Before you could have access to it if you hover here on the main ones. So there was a decision to move it, And right now, this is how to get to it. Basically, you go here to Dharma and you scroll down to join Sangha. Okay.
Right.
So that loads, you're at that page. And obviously, if you're here and you're part of the Sangha, you already filled out this form. You already read what we had here. So you go all the way down, you scroll all the way down of this page. And as you can see here, if you are already part of the Rekun Dharmakirti Sangha, click here for the protector area. So this is how you can get here. That's one option.
And bookmark this page.
Yeah, I was going to say bookmark it. And that way you always have
the two monkeys
there. Yep. The two monkeys are always waiting there for you. So, protected area. I emailed that the password Swasti. That's how you say it.
Swasti, yeah.
Swasti with exclamation mark at the end. Hopefully this works this time. There you go, and you're in. So, reminder, you go in here all the way down to join Sangha, click here, suggest bookmarking this Swasti, and voila, you have the access to the protected area, which has the DDIS text download section. Here, if you click, you will see the texts that we are generally using, pretty much all of them, all the time. When we get updates to these texts, you will see that these dates will change. We're trying to keep.
Yeah, that is to show which edition of these texts.
Control,
yes.
Say.
Yeah.
So let's say you have downloaded it and you see that you have December 26, and all of a sudden you're seeing here January 20. There is a new version. It might have some small changes or more significant. So my suggestion is always have the latest one. That is the text download section. Oh man, hang on. Let me type in the password again. And then here we have the forum where we created this area. We have Facebook. But some people don't like to use much Facebook, probably to forums and for the pages there to post discussions. So we enable this area as well if you want to keep away from the social media. So here, as you can see, there is place for introductions. Suggestions are always open, and an open area here for any general topic regarding the DDIS. As you can see here, we have questions around Sang offering, devotion to Guru, receiving empowerment, and as Dr. Lai pointed out at the beginning, we're here to help to the new ones, to everyone actually. So here is another place where we can go in and have the members of the Sangha take a look at it and maybe start discussions here, and then probably grow into WhatsApp or
Right now, as you can see, not very active, because I think we have all been habituated with Facebook, which is so easy, myself included. But I do want us to have this space, and then I will make an effort to be here. And if you make an effort to be here, sometimes it's good to just kind of separate out things so that you don't get caught up so easily over there.
More distractions.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Javier.
No problem.
And again, just in case, I think sometimes people forget or don't know or miss the announcement, all our meetings are uploaded to the Drigong Dharmakirti YouTube site. YouTube page, and there it's under a playlist that says DDIS. So if you miss some Wednesday, or if you want to revisit some Wednesday, you can just go to Drigong Dhammakirti YouTube channel. If you subscribe to the channel, then other things that get added, you'll be notified of our new things that we put up. So and Omar is usually the person who puts the videos up on our YouTube channel, including putting introduction, and very nicely done. And so thank you to everyone who is helping with all these different aspects. So again, one reminder, if you want to help with like the email account of info@Drigong Dhammakirti, then send an email there, and then Javier will reach out to you. So finally,
Sorry.
Yes, go ahead.
I don't know if I am lost it. But we already finished the four dharmas.
No.
Of Gampopa.
No.
we are in a half, isn't it?
Oh, we're not finished yet for Dharmas Gampopa.
Okay. I think.
Oh yeah, there's a lot more to do with 4 dharmas of Gampopa.
Okay. My question is for the about the introduction to Nondro.
Oh yes.
That you mentioned for the next week.
Yes. That's the practice part, and then the theory part will keep going.
Okay. Sorry. Thank you.
Yeah. Then the Tara part is always to have, when you're suffering, you have to go to Mama, and Mama Guadalupe, Mama Tara, so that is always there. Then the main practice, formal practice, is the Ngondro. Then the theory, is the 4 dharmas, and then from 4 dharmas we'll look at other things. Yeah, so we are weaving in and out in a very organic way. So yeah. Then you on your own, you read the 4 dharmas, again. Those are the 3 texts. Jigten Sumgun's commentary on 4 dharmas. Eventually we will look at that. Mehnia and Randy helped in getting that all transcribed, and so that will eventually be brought in as well. Yeah.
I got a question.
Yes.
Back to the website. Why do we have a protected section? What are we protecting against?
That's how we belong to Asangas, so that it's not just anybody and everybody downloading whatever text they want to download.
Okay. Thank you.
It's just part of being part of an organization. You have to draw some line somewhere,
Okay, thank you.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yes.
Just a comment about, I think I'm grateful that I'm in the Sangha for many reasons, and one of them is that I have learned a little bit of devotion from you. I just wanted to comment how.
Oh. Good.
So the way I learned devotion from you, it's from your singing, from your sharing the audios from your master, for instance, Genshin. I feel the devotion there, and also your devotion to making many activities and sharing with us. I think it's how many of us, myself personally, get it.
Okay. Thank you. That's good to know. Because I have a PhD in cynicism. So that's why I'm always suspicious, you know, like I don't think I have enough devotion. I have proof for my cynicism. I got a PhD out of it, you know, which is to be suspicious, because not just any PhD, my PhD is in religious studies, and there you are taught to be suspicious of everything. There's at least another person in this Sangha who also has a PhD in religious studies, so I'm sure she can back me up on that. So we specialize, you know, in being cynical. So I'm always like, you know, oh, I don't know anything about devotion. See, I'm even cynical about, you know, the possibility that I might have some devotion. So I have perfected suspicion.
Even for instance, the videos of you offering sang, I like to play them.
Good.
So don't stop making these things. I think all those things help us. Really.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you. Yeah.
It was your cynicism, the first thing that attracted me to your speech. That's like that. I said, okay, somebody's just.
Oh, okay, good, yeah.
Or don't believe everything. So,
yeah.
That was really, I'm being honest. But,
Good, okay. Yeah, I think there is a role for that, you know, like we have to be a little like, really? I always say, you know, like it's good to have someone who go, wait, isn't the emperor naked? You know? Otherwise, religion is very, you know, tricky. Very easy to kind of get swept off in La La Land, you know? Yes.
I have a question. Hi,
Ana Silvia. Hello.
Yes. Hi, everybody. I'm
Ana Silvia is in Guatemala, and Lucrecia too is in Guatemala. And
yes.
Renee, where in Mexico are you?
Oaxaca. With Ivan.
Oaxaca cheese is famous.
Yeah.
Yes, Ana Silvia, sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. I have a question, but I don't know if you have enough time, or maybe we can discuss it next for next class.
Yeah, go ahead and ask. And yeah.
Okay. So I was thinking about what you said about relativizing what we have, you know, if because I really don't like that when people say, oh, I have so many things. I have a house, I have a roof over my head, I have everything. So the other people are not this fortunate. I don't like that. I find it very unkind, you know, and I find it like it's not practicing equanimity. I don't know. I have that feeling. I know it's you said it for the right purpose and for really to diminish that we suffer from that those feelings, but I really don't like it. I don't know how to manage that. I don't like when people say that.
Don't use it. That's all.
But how about like when when I listen to it, because I
don't use it. That's it. You know, just don't use it.
I don't. I really don't. I don't.
So leave it alone. Leave it alone. If it is not helpful to you, leave it alone, you know?
Okay.
Yeah. Because you're hearing something else. You're not hearing.
Yes.
Yeah. So whatever it is that you're hearing doesn't work for you, don't use it, you know? But it's a central Dharma point, which is to understand, like, what we think is true is always because you have a reference point. That's the deeper point there. Understand that whatever you think is going on, it's not necessarily what's going on. It's only true to the degree of within the context you have placed it in. Yeah, it's only true within the context that you have placed it in. Gindun Chöpel, one great Tibetan intellectual, says, that the world looks the way it looks, that reality looks the way that it looks. It's because, my eyes are horizontal and my nose is vertical.
I think.
Yeah.
And
yeah, go ahead, Rowan.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I think I'm in a very similar boat as Ana Silvia. I think for me, it's having to whittle down the difference between, yes, acknowledging how you feel and dwelling on it. I feel like maybe that's a difference that we kind of don't immediately pick up on. I'm not sure what it ultimately boils down to.
And also, it's not something that you let someone else tell you.
Right.
Yeah? No. And it's also not something that you tell someone. No, this is you working with understanding the relative nature. We talk so much about relative truth, relative truth, relative truth. Often we only talk about it when we're talking Buddhist philosophy. But we have to apply it. So when we apply it, it means, I'm like, great. Even that, so that's the Lucrezia. That's like where the sort of cynicism has to come in, but healthy cynicism. Even when you're having such a great time, you have to say, yeah, it's because of the context that this is such a great time, right? It's because of context, this thing tastes good. Otherwise, if you think through it, oh, yuck, what the heck am I eating? Some rotting whatever, That's the relative truth. The relative truth is our reality is constructed, not in a vacuum, but a bunch of reference points that is completely arbitrary and unstable. See that. That's the point. But too often, people have used that to make us feel bad, or we have used that to make us feel bad. So we're misapplying the Dharma.
I think if you've grown up in a culture, any culture where, like, I grew up in an Irish Catholic family. So for me, it was, you have no right to feel badly about this because you're well off compared to other people who are suffering. But it's...
Oh, yeah, of course.
But I think it boils down to, you're allowed to sit there and acknowledge to yourself, this really sucks. I'm not a fan of this.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Doing that and being honest with yourself and taking that and continually whipping yourself over it. That's
yeah, of course. That's clearly not what the Buddha taught,
And I feel like that's probably the distinction between minimizing your own feelings versus...
Yeah, not minimizing your own feeling, but to be able to see the interdependent nature of feelings. It's very different. Yeah. So this is crucial to understand. Yeah. Again, back to Gampopa's point. If you don't know how to practice the Dharma, practicing Dharma, even something as good as practicing Dharma, which he says, is the bestest thing you can do. He says, but if you don't know how to practice the Dharma, practicing the Dharma can lead you to the lower realms. Yeah, totally. His Holiness the Dalai Lama says, finally, if you know how to apply it, it works for you, use it. If you don't know how to apply it, doesn't work for you, don't touch it. Leave it alone. Leave it alone.
Dr. Alai, I have one very quick comment because I'm driving. When we were speaking about devotion, it occurred to me that when I feel devotion, I'm recognizing a perfection in somebody else.
Yeah, and to be able to see that, should lead to some kind of opening. Can lead to some kind of opening.
Yeah, I think it's simultaneous, because when you see the perfection happening, the heart just, it kind of like your heart has to open a little in order to actually see it in the first place.
Yeah.
And then there's a continuation as you appreciate.
And speaking of that, so very quickly, one last thing to share as we do our dedication. We've gone over our time. As I always say, there are people and pets waiting for you. Let's not make them resent your Dharma involvement. One of the recent translations, a very short one, but very good one. I want to quickly share with you if I can find it. It's called, so this is from the teachings of Jigten Sumgön. It says, at the Bodh Gaya of our present age, a song of advice to four brothers. So here it says, at the Bodh Gaya of our present age. Bodh Gaya is like, for Buddhists, it's like, the place on earth where Buddha achieved enlightenment. So Jigten Sumgön says, at the Bodh Gaya of our present age, the glorious monastery of Drigum, the Father Guru, the precious Dharma Lord, bestowed the following advice to us four brothers. And so these are the four brothers remembering what Jigten Sumgön taught them. And this is what Jigten Sumgön taught. Just like how a skillful honey bee does not damage the flower and its luster as it extracts the nectar of the flower before flying into the sky, so too do the heirs of the great sage obtain the positive qualities in all beings without paying heed to their hosts of faults and failings. Whether they be physical, verbal, or mental, and as such become fully liberated. Again, just like how a skillful honeybee does not damage the flower and its luster as it extracts nectar from these flowers before flying into the sky, so too do the heirs of the great sage obtain the positive qualities in all beings without paying heed to the beings, hosts of faults and failings, whether they be physical, verbal, or mental, and as such become fully liberated, flying back into the sky. You're very fortunate if you don't have to play the role of a teacher, because the role of a teacher in part is looking for faults. My goodness, to need to look for faults and then to practice this, how the heck do we put those two together? I have not figured that out. So that's why for the most part, when people say, can you be my teacher? I said, no. Because you have to go look out for those faults, and tell people, you got to change that, you got to change that, you got to change that, But here, Jigten Sumgön says, don't do that, Be like a bee, taking the nectar and flying back out into the sky. So just think about it. Let it percolate, what this means. Dedication on page 22. Quotation on page 22. Great Vajradhara Dilipa Naropa Marpa Milarepa Dharma Lord Gampopa Pamudrupa and Conqueror Drikungpa, please bestow upon us the most auspicious blessings of all you Kagyu Gurus. By this merit may I achieve the all-knowing state. May all who wander on the waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death cross the ocean of samsara by defeating enemies of faults and devolutions. By the virtues collected in the 3 times in samsara and nirvana and the innate virtue, and in the primordially co-emergent mandala of the mind, may I realize the exalted intention of Jigten Gonpo, the indivisibility of the two truths in the exalted form of Vajradhara. In all lifetimes may I never be separated from the perfect Gurus, but enjoy the richness of the glorious Dharma. Having thoroughly perfected the exalted qualities of the grounds and paths, may I quickly attain the state of Vajradhara. May the 80,000 classes of obstructors be pacified, thus freeing this place from unfavorable and harmful conditions. May harmonious and excellent endowments be established, and with this auspiciousness, bliss and happiness. May there be well-being in the world and good harvest, much yield of grain and flourish of dharma. May auspiciousness be established in all places and all that is wishful fulfilled. May the collection of favorable conditions and resources for the dharma for ourselves and others be fulfilled according to our wishes. May the multitudes of diseases, evil spirits, obstructors, hindrances, and others be appeased and pacified. Bodhicitta, the excellent and precious mind, where it is unborn, may it arise, where it is born, may it not decline. Higher and higher, I pray for the excellent health of the Gurus, and may the Gurus' supreme life be long. May the Gurus' activity spread far and wide, and may I be blessed not to be separated from the Gurus. Just as heroic Manjushri knows everything as it is, and Samantabhadra, who is thus as well, so too will I follow in their path and perfectly dedicate all the virtues accumulated. Through this dedication, praised as supreme by the conquerors of the 3 times, I dedicate all these roots of virtue to accomplishing the noble deeds. By the blessings of the Buddhas who have attained the 3 kayas, by the blessings of the truth of the unchanging Dharma as such, by the blessings of the indivisible Sangha order, may these dedication and aspiration prayers be accomplished. By the truth of the 3 jewels, the blessings of all Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, and by the great might of the complete perfection of the 2 accumulations, and by the strength of the completely pure and inconceivable Dharmadhatu, may this be attained accordingly. By the virtues collected in the 3 times by me and the entirety of samsara and nirvana, may I and all sentient beings quickly attain the unsurpassed, perfect, complete, precious Bodhi. By the blessings of the truth of the Kagyu Gurus, the excellent 3 Idams, Darkinis, and Dharmapalas, may the spiritual and temporal places of the tradition of the 2nd Nagarjuna flourish. Whatever harmful discordant faults may arise, may they be pacified, and may there be abundant prosperity and happiness. May the teachings of the great Trikungpa Ranashri, the all-knowing Dharma Lord, Master of Interdependence, continue to increase study, practice, contemplation, and meditation until the end of samsara. By the power of the virtues collected in accordance with the teachings of the pure realizations of the unmistaken teacher, may the teachings of Ranashri of Drikung, the protector of the 10th Bhumi, flourish perpetually. Okay, you all have a good night, a good morning, a good afternoon, and wherever else in whatever planet you might be at.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Gracias. Buenas noches.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Buenas
Buenas
noches.
noches.
Night.
Good night, good morning. One more thing, more curry, less worry project. The full details will be available on the website. by this Friday. We're getting closer and closer to figuring out where to send the money and all of that, basically to urban dharmas. So we have already created a button if you're using PayPal. We will also provide address for you to send checks if you are this check sending type in the US. And then various other places. Guatemala, in fact, Guatemala has already collected. I just got a message talking about rejoicing. Guatemala has collected at this point $639.98 for more curry, less worry, which is 3 months of 50 meals a week. At the rate the collection is going, I think we can go more than 3 months. So that is good. So yeah.
Bill Lazy's got my check today. So.
Oh, excellent. Yeah. Thank you so much, Christina. And thank you to everyone. Ta-ta.
Gracias.
Gracias.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Gracias.
Hasta pronto.
Thank you. Good night. Bye.
Bye. Gracias.
Bye. Thank you.